Shakeletti love. So love when I wanna get another one, I go take and do waiting I love. Waiting you love, oh. No be waiting I love, oh. Waiting I love, I go do what with all my heart, oh. Go no be vodka. Mr. Money Changer. But when I know the ways that Mr.
You let a yum 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 yum. Nayela pere, mati nayela pese. You let a yum 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 yum. Nayela pere, muna kapela, chora kakisa, bayari hela pere, balungana bayre, tupa ani, aingting tutna, asanta tapage, bayu tutele, asankele yura, babantu bigara, bayari hela pere, bongana bayre, tupa ani, asikulja tutna, ikina kine, ikile sikulja kine, chitatia, undidle sikulja tia, satasua, nzadle sikulja sua, korakua, nkole sikulja kua, sarasua, nsole sikulja sua, tinayele pere, nakapere, chora kakisa, bayari hele pere, bongna bayre, tupa ani, sikulja tuma, tupa ani, sikulja tuma.
That dream of studying and working abroad has been made much accessible to everyone, including you. So worry less about how you're going to get there, because we always make it happen. This is Staffinders Ghana Limited. We offer a highly professional guidance and support system, both in your university and visa application process. Staffinders Ghana Limited is a highly trusted agency of the University of the West of Scotland, one of the largest modern universities offering a range of academic, social, and sporting facilities. You can apply for undergraduate, master's and PhD in business and creative industries, education, social sciences, computing, engineering, physical sciences, health, and life sciences. Come through Staffinders, and for your studies, you get yourself a laptop or a £500 gift voucher. Call on +233 598 4888 04. WhatsApp on +44 7404 711 049. Send us an email or visit our website for more information.
Welcome to Political Justice. It's yet another Saturday afternoon here in the United States. I believe it's evening in Ghana. And we are here to do justice to the topical issues that have emerged in our dear country in the course of the week. As usual, I'm here with my panelists, Ni Okai, Assistant Professor of Actuarial Science, Appalachian State University, Zita Seshi, Dr. Z, a sociologist who is based out in Canada. Once again, I'm grateful for your presence, and I hope you would bring your A game and then give us insightful analysis on the issues that we're going to discuss. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome.
I guess let's say ladies first.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you all once again.
Yeah. Well, today we are going to be preoccupied with discussions around corruption. Corruption is something that historically nation building has always had to confront, even from ancient civilizations and even in modern democracies, even in the democracies that we think are well established with, very functioning institutions, are constantly having to deal with the issue of corruption. And in our case, we are still in that infant stage of nation building. The structures of our country are not fully developed yet. And so we are even plagued more with the issue of corruption compared to other democracies, established institutions that, just by virtue of the fact that it's a phenomenon of human nature, they are having to deal with it day in, day out. There are key issues bordering on corruption and conflict of interest that have emerged in Ghana in the past couple of days or maybe the weeks. We talked about one last week. We talked about the potential sale of, hotels that are majority owned by SNIT, being offloaded to an individual who is currently in government. And he is in the person of Brian Achampong, who is the current Minister of Agriculture. The name of his company is Rock City. Is it Rock City? Right? I'm right. So we will talk about that. And also the KPMG report that was commissioned by the president. Initially, he refused to release the report, but eventually he did release it. So we're going to talk about the issues surrounding that report and as to whether there was value for money in the way in which the contract was awarded to SML, and all the related issues, right? And we're going to wrap it around the context of our effort as Ghana to build our nation and institute strong institutions that, broadly speaking, would serve the interest of everyone. So without wasting more time on the issue, but let's just go into the issue of the SML contract, right? I think it was in December that the Fourth Estate, a media house in Ghana, came out with a report, right? They had done some investigations surrounding the company SML that had won a contract with GA, the Ghana Revenue Authority, and the Ministry of Finance. Now, basically, the purpose of this contract was, it was supposed to be an extra layer of security to prevent people who were, or contractors or people engaged in the petroleum business, from underreporting how much petroleum they are selling, so that they can ensure that the state is taxing the right amount of commodities that are being taken from the source, for instance, the bulk distributors, to the various points of sale. So SMLE was supposed to play that middleman role that would ensure that the amount that is being taken for sale is adding up at the end of the day, right? But the reporting suggested that was a redundant exercise, or the contract that was awarded to SML was essentially awarding a contract to an organization that was not really performing any work, and that layer of security already existed within the existing structures of operations, right? And so that is the background of this investigation. So basically, the Fourth Estate was suggesting that the government had awarded a contract to somebody who wasn't really doing the job as stipulated, and also there wasn't value for money. Our money as a state wasn't properly spent. So we will delve into, but before we proceed, I will just play Manasseh Azori, who was one of the lead investigators in this, for him to explain a little bit further, and then we'll come to the report and then delve into that as well.
Or under declaration. And then this same company that is supposed to be doing this work, I put a microphone, a camera, sat with a managing director and asked him, did you ever detect any issue of underreporting or under declaration? Christian Tetesuti looks at me and said, no, we don't do that. We never engage in underreporting or under declaration. We don't care that. I speak to the petroleum unit of the Ghana Revenue Authority, the head of petroleum, and all the officials. They told me no, SML does not do those services. We go to SML's website and they state that their services were helping to curb under the reporting or under declaration, diversion and dilution of petroleum products. We asked SML in the presence of GRA's petroleum unit, about 4 or 5 officials from GRA. SML said, no, we are not doing these services, and we never stated anywhere that we're doing them. I said, look, it is on your website. We go to their website, and they said, well, it might have been there by mistake. By close of day, SML deleted those false claims from its website. And we knew they were false because the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, had engaged different companies that the state of Ghana currently pays them to check under declaration, dilution, diversion. And they've put in measures to fight those anomalies. The figures that SML claims to be monitoring, that is, they've put flow meters at the depots.
Yeah.
We asked GRA, do you use these figures from SML for your tax? GRA told us no. Which ones do you use? They use the figures from the loading gantries that go through the Enterprise Relational Database Management System at the NPA. This system is linked to the ICOMS of Customs, that's the GRA. And these are the figures that they use.
Okay, Manasseh.
And finally, the reason, sorry.
So Manasseh, so what are you saying? That the activities that SML said they were undertaking on behalf of GRA on the activities of NPA, you are saying that GRA already had the capacity to perform those activities?
GRA, through the NPA, was already doing them. And the final point I wanted to come to is the reason.
Okay. So what the allegation here is that SML was awarded a contract and they were paid to the tune of about 1.4 billion Ghana cedi for this supposed work done, when in fact their role in the whole process was immaterial, essentially redundant. So Ani, do you have any further, information regarding the situation? And I mean, does the the KPMG report really support the allegation that was leveled against GRA and the Ministry of Finance by the Fourth Estate?
Yeah, okay, thank you. And send my greetings to everyone watching us. Now, what we see from the report, I have like 6 points. If you could give me time to go through all that. The first thing is that we've seen that whatever the president was trying to hide, we now know what he was trying to do. The scandal is worse than the press release. Whatever he released in that, the scandal is worse than that. Basically, what I can say is it looks like this SML thing was just a case to just create and loot. First point is the president said SML was paid $1 billion Ghana cedis, but from the report, realized that I think page 31, the gross payment was 1.4 billion. So again, that's the first point I want to make.
So that's how much
Yes.
was paid to them for the service that they
For the
performed.
service, yes, 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, and the president said they were paid 1 billion.
Okay.
And so that's a lie on the part of the president. Second point is that previously the name was SMEL.
Okay.
So SMEL was refused PPA approval on 3 separate occasions because they said, and it's in quotes, they lack the capacity and experience to deliver whatever they said. What? Yes, they were delivering. And the company changed its name from SMEL to SML, and now they got all these contracts approval. And this is on page
So
4.
how did they get approved? Because merely changing the name, or they didn't go through the right tendering process?
Yeah, so they got a company. I've forgotten the company. They got a company to get a contract. Then SML went under, I think, as a subcontractor. But after a couple of things, then they kicked that company out, right? Then SML came in, right? So that was how they handle it. These people they are using their smartness just for corruption. They wouldn't use this smartness just to to actually try and solve our problem. So that's how they were able to get all these contracts by not going through the right processes. And basically KPMG is saying that kind of whatever the contract is unlawful because it didn't go through the right procedures. So that was the first the first point. Oh no, that was the second point. They did not have approval, or they were refused PPA approval on 3 occasions. Now the third point is the government actually paid SML to verify prices of imported goods too, and they paid SML $4 million per year. But according to Bright Simmons and other people knowledgeable in this area, it looks like you could get that thing for $5,000 in an open market. So instead of paying $5,000, they decided to give SML $4 million just for that. And that's another part of the corruption. So the fourth point is KPMG said that initially SML was saying that they helped increase revenue, but KPMG said that the increase in revenue was not due to SML. It was just due to increasing the number of taxes. So clearly, that was not SML's work. So it looks like the only thing Ghana got from the SML is that flow meters. They called that the automatic tank gauges. That was the only thing SML provided, and even that KPMG said in the report that when they went to 19 depots, the SML did not have those flow meters. They did not have it in 19 of the depots. So even though they took the 1.4 billion, and it looks like the only thing Ghana got out of that was this automatic tank gauges, it even wasn't installed in all the depots. So again, they collected the money, they didn't do the work, and the only thing Ghana got was that flow meters, and it wasn't even in at all the depots. And actually, the government was thinking of increasing, so previously they got paid five.
Okay, so this is the report.
Yeah.
And this is what shows the increase in revenue.
Yes. So if you can see the second point, it said one significant contributor to this growth was the increase in the number of taxes, right? So that's what KPMG was. It was like, no, before you got the contract, the trend, and you can see just like pre and post. If you want to say you had an impact or something is having an impact, if you do a pre and post test, is that trend or is that slope, is it different? And it's not different. And also what they are saying is that actually the increase here is because of the increase in the number of taxes.
Yeah,
right?
so the government increased the number of taxes, and so
Yeah,
that accounted for the increase in tax revenue rather
exactly.
than the efficiency of SMLE,
SML.
right? In
And
SML in installing sort of underreporting.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And the other point I wanted to uh, make is that SML also refused to pay taxes on the fees they got to GRA. It looks like you were contracted, right? The reason why you were contracted was to check, uh, be the company slips in
The revenue, the tax revenue of the
for them to pay the right taxes to the GRA. Now you, after getting paid, you are refusing to pay
paying tax
tax.
on.
Yes, to the GRA. So it doesn't make any sense here why they wouldn't want to pay tax. And the last point I wanted to talk about before maybe Zita will come in is that they paid 720 million Ghana cedis out of SLS 2.45 billion revenue. And that's from the KGMG report. And that means that these guys, after saying all the things about Mahama, incompetent Mahama, and all that, a fund that Mahama was set up to pay, right, to the ESLA was set up to kind of deal with the legacy debt in the energy sector, right? They collateralized this, looted this, and used some of it to pay SML for no work done. Though it's not like, okay, this is really important. We have to. They took all that money, 700 and 20 million Ghana cedis, gave it to SML for no work done. So that's why I read some. I didn't read everything, but some portion of it. I was like, these guys, they are evil people. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, Zita, do you have any initial comments? Do you know the details of what went on with respect to the report? For instance, I mean, I guess, the Fourth Estate's claim was that it was redundant, and that the claims being made by SML in terms of what they were doing wasn't real. And then we just demonstrated that their claim that the GRA's revenue had increased, tax revenue had increased because they had been able to seal the leaks in terms of underreporting, and so a reduction in and so the inability of the GRA to collect the full amount of taxes that would have been due them. And evidently, the increase in taxes was as a result of just general increase in the number of taxes that are being put on petroleum products rather than their efficiency. Yeah. So, if you have any other, maybe I don't know if you follow the case keenly or yeah.
Honestly, I have been listening on several news items. Joy News have had like detailed posts, and I was listening for 3 hours, and I'm like, this is not my forte, but the core course of what I got was the fact that they were contracted to do 4 things. First of all, audit transactions, external price verification, downstream petroleum monitoring, and upstream petroleum mining and production monitoring. Those are not things that are within my area of expertise, but the gist of what I got is that the SML was contracted to do certain things in related to the GRA, and at the end of the day, apparently they were trying to fast track them to get authorization to be able to operate, and that did not pull through in time. And it just speaks of massive levels of corruption, and that is the gist of what I got. And the fact that they claim to be engaging in redundancies in the system and attributing petroleum product or fuel consumption, to their credit, that they were the ones who, through their work, they were able to adjust for that. And I was listening to, I don't remember the speaker's name, but this brilliant panelist on Joy News talking about, fuel consumption and all that has to do with the economy largely, and that it takes the price, not necessarily they are supposedly efficient work they did with the GRA. And so again, this is just another issue of corruption that it has dented the image of the incumbent government. And for whatever reason, the president was trying to cover this this how do you call it, this expose or report from coming out. I mean, now the report is out and it's being discussed extensively. Things like this should not be happening, because I was just watching the passionate what's his name, oh, he calls himself Sam George. He I was just listening to him, and he said that it is just like the VRA contracting another aspect of themselves to say that they're doing work for them just to pay themselves. And that is what this whole SML thing looks like. And so it's a shame. It's a shame that we are in a country, there are serious issues, and money could go towards something profitable and something that can help build a nation. But unfortunately, a company that has not been able to gain accreditation has, you know, been given the authority or contracted as vendors to assist the GRA in multiple services. It's just a shame. It's unacceptable. And again, Nana Akufo-Addo, this is not too good. I mean, consistently your government has shown massive levels of corruption. To what extent will we know the damage that the MPP will do by the time they leave office in December 2024? That is now the biggest concern now. What are the revelations that are going to be coming out post Nana Addo's reign? That is my contribution. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So so for instance, this is another graph from the report. So basically, there is a gap between the fuel that is being lifted for the sale and, you know, what is actually, what is being reported and what is supposed to be the actual amount. And it got to a point where I think GRA, by their own internal, you know, changes, were able to institute this, what they call it the ICOMs, right? And at some point, they were able to match the two, whereby there was no longer shortfall in the reporting in terms of how much was claimed to have been lifted for retail and how much basically you would lift, and then you have to report to GRA, and on the basis of your reporting, GRA will be able to tax, right? But there was a gap between that, because I mean, somehow the people who are the depots are corrupt to the point where you, as somebody who is lifting the oil for retail, can actually bribe them not to report how much you have taken, so that you would be able to evade paying tax on what you have taken for sale. You have taken it for sale, but GRA doesn't know that that's how much you have taken for sale. So that was the problem. So GRA was able to institute a measure whereby when the oil is lifted, they would immediately get a trigger that oil has been lifted, and so they are able to tax that oil, right? Now, this is where they are able to strike a balance at some point. And you see that these graphs show that the green and the red graph show that they're matching. There's no longer a revenue shortfall for GRA as a result. But this is where SML is employed, right? The blue line. So this is where they come in. Now, you can see clearly that the pink line and the green line have been matched prior to the arrival of SML. So the idea that it is based on their activities or their level of efficiency in catching these, you know, underreporting that has solved the problem, it's not, the facts don't support that argument, because they were already able to achieve that level of efficiency way before, because this is when they are employed, they come into the picture. So the blue graph shows that's where they came into the picture. So that's another clear evidence from the audit report that, in fact, the claims that were made by the Fourth Estate were indeed true. And in fact, if you go back and listen to the Fourth Estate or read their report, they make these exact claims. And true to their words, when that audit report is released, every single allegation that they level against the Ministry of Finance, the GRA, and SML comes as if it was the gospel truth. I mean, because sometimes, I mean, the truth is the truth, right? if you seek the truth, you're going to find only one truth. There's no multiple truths. There are no alternative facts, so to speak. Anyway, so again, I don't know the nature of this company. Most of the time, you realize that some of these companies that are being paid for work that they didn't really do are cronies of the ruling government. I don't have any details about the ownership of this company and how they are related to those entrusted with making decisions for us, right? So we'll just leave that since we don't really have any facts on that. But yes.
No, look at the last point. It said in the latter half of 2020, when SML commenced operations, data comparison from the three sources, that's the NPA, GRA, and the SML. NPA has the highest, reported the highest annual volumes, and SML was the lowest. Okay. That was what the report is saying. So you were saying, okay, I'm come to whatever, trying to get a difference, but you are actually reporting the lowest.
Yeah. So you were supposed to be the watchdog.
Exactly.
Right? So, and then somehow you underreported compared to others.
And I was going to say they were paid. I think it said that they were paid like 5% per every liter, but now they were about to be paid. If it wasn't for this Fort Estate thing, they were about to be paid $0.75 per liter, whatever, and 0.75% of value of minerals. And because of this report, I think that part they said they will cancel it. And they said they are going to sue Manessa and the Fortnest. Yeah, they are going to sue them. I'm like, these guys.
No, that wouldn't be after this report, would it?
Yeah.
Was that prior to the audit report?
Which are the sue?
Yes.
Yeah, they said because of the the Fortnest people made the thing or like came out before the KP came. Yeah, so they were like they are going to see them.
So that's what I'm asking, if the threat was before this audit report.
Oh, yeah. I think the threat was before the reports came out. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when the Fourth Estate came up with their report and the president, I will, give him a little bit of credit there for actually, deploying KPMG to conduct this audit report. It wouldn't have been uncharacteristic if he had just ignored it and let things slide. But kudos to him for actually, being bold enough to commission this report, and it's confirmed a lot of things for us. But then let's talk about the right to information bill, right? That's very important, and it's helped in so many respects, especially with respect to this particular issue. But prior to the release of this report, the president had actually refused to release the full report and had given a summary of what they claim to be the key issues or the key highlights of the report. Let me pull up the statement that the presidency issued when they refused initially to release the full report, and then we'll go through it and we will analyze it in the context of the right to information bill, because I think it's very important. Give me a second here. Okay. Yeah, so this is the statement that was released, and so basically they are trying to explain the reason why the president initially had refused. So it says, so let me just jump to this. Bearing in mind the provision of the RTI Act, particularly sections 5(1)(a) and B(1)(i) of the Act, the president denied the request by the Media Foundation of West Africa. That's what since the KPMG report constitutes matters exempt under Section 5 of the RTI Act. And now the exemption here is that information is exempt from disclosure where the information is prepared for submission or has been submitted to the president or vice president for consideration or contains matters, the disclosure of which would reveal information concerning opinions, advice, deliberation, recommendation, minutes, or consultation made or given to the president or vice president, and is likely to undermine the deliberative process on the part of the president or the vice president. So essentially, what they are claiming here, I think this particular provision is, basically the presidential privilege that certain conversations that you have with advisors should not be disclosed to the public in that sense. So I think that's what this is trying to target. So furthermore, there has been judicial pronouncement in the case involving Media Foundation for West Africa that a request which falls within the category of information exempt under RTI Act can be lawfully declined, and that there was a court ruling in that respect that indeed if the request for information falls within the exempt category, then the presidency has the right to deny it. So the KPMG report, so now they're making a claim that the KPMG report falls within this exemption. The KPMG report comprises opinions, advice, deliberations, and recommendations that are integral to the president's deliberative process and therefore qualifies as exempt information under Section 5(1)(a) and (b)(i) of the RTI Act. Thus, the office of the president was justified in turning down the request from MFWA for a copy of the KPMG report, right? So it is important to read. I'm not going to go into this other extraneous stuff, but this is the justification that was given. But somehow the presidency is trying to pat itself in the back by saying that even given the justification that they could have actually denied the release of this report, they still went ahead and did it. And so we should clap hands for them, basically. So, Zita, any opinions about the position the government took and the U-turn and, and the whole right to information bill or act in itself?
This again shows that in Ghana, laws exist, but to a large extent in vacuum, because look at the way the president was trying to subvert all the lawful information coming out. And so the right to information bill exists, but it's like laws exist, but when it gets to a certain level and powerful people are involved, then it's like the law is not enforced and it doesn't work. And so we appreciate the third estate, if that's the name for
the fourth
estate, okay, for doing their due diligence and bringing this thing out. And again, I'm just thinking here, post Nana Addo's leaving government, what else are we going to discover? Because if he was trying so hard to subvert the public from knowing this whole SML situation, which was just another gimmick by people within government to loot and to steal, what else are they hiding? That is to me. So in terms of the right to information bill, laws exist in Ghana, but it only exists to penalize the poor masses and the vulnerable. Because when it comes to the political class and the people that are powerful, the laws doesn't work. But I'm glad that independent bodies like the Fourth Estate can understand how things work and go ahead, do their investigations and publish a detailed report on what happened and the amount of funds that Ghana has lost simply because of another attempt to loot public resources. So yeah, it's just like any other thing in Ghana, like we talked about the other time, where some special people have the motorcade siren where they put on your cars to just subvert traffic. Laws exist in Ghana, but it exists for we, the ordinary people. When it comes to the political class and the most powerful, or even the presidency, the law is subject to maneuvering, and that's the thing.
Yeah, for me, I give this government no credit. I give them no credit, zero credit. I cannot for any reason think that this government or the presidency did not know about this contract. They've been paid what 1.4 billion as Ghana cedis. Chama, it's like if you tell me the government did not know anything about this and we've paid 1.4 billion cedis to this company, then it means that we are even, I don't want to use certain words, but it means that there's a big problem going on. If for somebody, a company to earn 1.4 billion Ghana cedis, and that contract, there's no backing or nobody knows anything about that contract from the presidency. I don't believe it. I think they know the problem. They know about whatever is going. They know about the corruption, and the only way they release that report is because there was another fire burning, which is the snake thing. So they released this report to calm it down a little bit because of that hotel sales scandal. I just feel that's the only reason why they release it. It's just to, okay, I'm fighting another scandal with another scandal. That's all. That's all I think.
Yeah. So basically, I think the president was essentially citing executive privilege when he talks about opinions and all that stuff. But I mean, this is an audit report. It has nothing, it's not an advice to the executive whereby you say, okay, under executive privilege and some of the things said in confidence cannot be released to the public. This is an audit report of an existing operation. So I honestly don't see how it falls under that exemption that they try to
use
around.
Yeah, you use taxpayers' money to pay for that audit. So you can't say the taxpayers don't have the right to see the report.
Yeah. So this is not a confidential conversation between the president and an advisory organization or individual whereby you say those conversations cannot be made public. It's an audit report of activities that are going on. So I think that was a ruse that they used to prevent transparency from prevailing. But again, we are happy that the Fourth Estate and the Media Foundation for West Africa really delved into this matter and followed it all the way through and through. Yes, but you actually also drew my mind to something whereby you said the presidency should have known about this contract. In fact, the award of the contract came from the Ministry of Finance. And so, effectively, that's the presidency.
Of course. I don't know about it.
And then at some point, my understanding is that the GRA actually wrote to the Ministry of Finance saying that they needed to really conduct a value for money analysis of the contract because, in fact, they themselves felt that there was some redundancy going on with the activities of this company. And so the GRA, who this company's activity was supposed to be supporting, actually approached the Ministry of Finance and asked them that they should conduct a value for money analysis of this contract because they didn't believe that it was actually doing anything for them. But the ministry didn't respond. And this went on. So when the Fourth Estate brought this up, somehow the GRA, which had raised a similar concern, somehow were forced to side with the government and pretend as if this company was actually performing a value for money operation for them or service for them. So, sometimes governments have the tendency of putting certain organizations that are supposed to be relatively independent in a very difficult position where their leadership cannot come up openly and say things that may implicate the government. So I think GRA was put in that type of situation. But anyway.
And are you surprised? Media people have been emasculated in our country. The media don't ask tough questions anymore. Secondly, if you look at our free SHS, headmasters cannot speak out, right? It's just like the vindictiveness of this government, and we took for granted Mohammed's, leadership when it comes to the way to handle kind of people who disagree with him. He even allowed journalists who people knew they were pro NPP to interview him. And have you seen that with Nanado? No, so we know the style of leadership of Akufo-Addo. He's very vindictive and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised the whole even state institutions cannot speak up. I mean, if he's even doing that to journalists, what can you, a state institution, do?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've said it time without number in this class that, I mean, look at me saying this class as if I was in class.
Sam George raised an important submission when he was talking about this whole issue. And of course, he referenced Ken Ofori-Atta as the minister in charge at the time when this deal was happening. But one thing he said is that the GRA is one of the corrupt institutions in Ghana. And he said categorically that he does not want to make it a political thing, but across different governments, there have been issues with their modus operandi or the way they operate. Of course, we cannot accept that it is magnified in the time of Nanado. But again, this whole expose beyond this huge scandal, we need to think about thorough auditing of government institutions. These are concerns that should be brought to the fore. How can we thoroughly vet government institutions to make sure that if vendors are contracted for services, they are actually performing. If somebody wants to whistleblow, there's the opportunity to whistleblow. And it comes back to what Barack Obama said when he was touring Africa: the lack of independent institution is our problem, And I agree with Nee 100%, because I think a few weeks ago when we were talking about legacy, Paula Dumochi was interviewing Mahama. And in his interview style, he was pretty hostile, but Mahama held his own and he answered the question graciously. And that is more than Nanado could ever do. Nanado will go to the voter region unprovoked and talk about how they didn't vote for him and that he's not supposed to be here. He would not be interviewed by anybody that is perceived as a journalist that has, sympathies towards the NDC. And so I definitely agree with Neil on that one, that we are in a time where the ability to speak freely is stifled, and that people are concerned if they would speak up against the government. So for me, a few things for us to note. Making sure that we are auditing state institutions is important. We need to work towards, if our democracy will get better, we need to work towards building stronger and independent institutions that can fully adhere to the principles of probity and accountability.
Well, I have always argued that Ghana has not been founded. And why I say so is that most countries usually have a significant turning point in their history where they basically found the country from the scratch. And in my opinion, Ghana has never had that movement, or any African country for that matter. At independence, we were left with a colonial constitution. And though that constitution has changed over the years, by name, it has only changed by name only, but the content is still the same. It is still the same copy and paste, where we have taken certain laws based on existing structures elsewhere and simply then apply them in our case. Now, there are some of the issues or the institutions of democracy that are almost universal. And then if you look into any democracy and their constitutions, you would find those legal frameworks. But there are also certain things that are unique to those countries. And so the nature of those laws or those conventions have to be internally generated. And for us, we have never taken that movement. We have never really done a critical analysis of our sociological structure, and then on that basis, craft institutions that would address our unique conditions. Ghana has never had that moment. There has never been an exchange of ideas. And I normally reference America that was built from scratch. America's model of democracy was built in a way that it has never been seen anywhere in practice in the world. And they solely relied on ideas to build it. And the ideas exist. They exist in books. There are people, Ghanaians, with the knowledge that if we want to build Ghana from scratch, we can pull ideas from knowledgeable people in our country across all sectors of, the economy. It could be academia, whatever. But we need to properly found that country, properly build institutions that would address some of the unique problems that we have. But we've never really done that. And for me, until that happens, we are going to continue to be putting plaster on wounds without fully really allowing the wounds to heal. Ghana has to be properly founded. And of course, reference America. I mean, the Federalist system, there's this document, the Federalist Papers, where there was back and forth exchange of ideas. I mean, and this was largely between three main characters. But these ideas is what actually built the democratic system of government that America has today. It was ideas. And so if we don't trade in ideas and on the basis of those ideas build a country for ourselves, we're just playing around. Again, so the key to all this is institutions, as Zita, you said. But again, those institutions are not going to build themselves, right? So, but let's move on to another issue that is even more topical, perhaps, than the one that we just talked about. And that is the reported negotiations to sell, very reputable hotels in Ghana to a company that is owned by a key figure in government. I mean, I think we talked about this last week, right? Because Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa had talked about it in one of the morning programs in Ghana, Good Morning Ghana, on Friday of last week. And he said he had filed a report. I mean, he had actually filed a complaint to Shraj to look into the matter. And so it's gathered heat over in the course of the week, and it's been talked about across various networks. And so I would like us to delve more into it this afternoon. And again, the name of the hotel or the company that is buying these SSNIT assets is Rock City, right? Rock City, yeah. And it's the Brian Achampong is the sole owner of that company. Now, the hotels in question are Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Royal Beach Hotel Resort, Elmina Beach, Rich Royal Hotel, right? I mean, initially there were reports about Buzia Beach and the Trust Lodge hotels. Apparently, those have been dropped. I don't know what happened in the case of these hotels, but it's these four hotels that are now in question. So yeah, your initial thoughts, and then I would play an audio from Brian Achampong with respect to trying to put up a defense, So yeah, your initial thoughts on this matter, and then we'll move on. Zita, let's hear from you.
My initial thoughts, I mean, the key question is, why are they trying to sell 60% stake, SSNIT's 60% stake in these hotels? They said so that they can be able to pay pensions. But as we are going to get into the discussion later, not all all the hotels are not making a loss. For instance, Labadi Beach Hotel have been generating, profits. So profitability is there. And so I'm not convinced as to why selling 60% stakes in these hotels is a solution to being able to pay pension by SNIT. I don't understand. And the key reasons they're given is that they want these hotels to be up to the world standard, world class standard, capital injection, and of course, assisting in hotel management.
Yeah.
These reasons I'm not convinced.
Yeah, they call them strategic investors, right? That they were looking for strategic investors
since 2018, November 2018. And so for me, I'm not convinced for the reasons why they want to sell the 60% stake. I feel like if we should do a cross comparative analysis and put the value of these hotels and the stakes in it, looking at what they seek to gain, which is pay pension, I feel like it is not a good trade-off. There are alternative ways government can bill SNIT out to be able to pay pension, but selling 60% of government stakes in these hotel is not feasible. These hotels are not depreciation assets. Of course, some of them need different management and other things to make them more profitable. But at the end of the day, we need to look at land. They are located on certain locations, and those lands have value. And so when you're selling something, are you calculating the value of the land and the location? In all that, I personally feel like it's not a good trade-off. And again, an attempt to buy a minister in government to loot, because again, we will get into a conflict of interest and all that.
So, Nii, while you are the actuarial scientist, if you were given this work to do to probably assess the values of the hotel, and I mean you were hired by SNIT, to do the assessment, would you charge $500,000?
So what I do want to say before I come to that, what I do want to say is that Ghanaians, we've seen a lot of corruption, and we sometimes we tune out of this corruption things, but this is one of the things we should tune out of. This has to do with SNIT. Anything that has to do with SNIT, we should take it with all level of seriousness, because the way SNIT operates, the law that brought SNIT into being, what it says is that as human beings, we cannot manage our properties, our monies. So we need somebody that can do that investment and managing properly for us, so that when we grow and we cannot earn any more income, this guy or this company will pay us something small, then we go and anytime God calls us, right? So this issue is not an issue we should joke with, because it's people's livelihood. It's people's, and this is the time you are very weak. You cannot do anything. So anything that concerns it, we should handle it with all seriousness. And the reason why this is even more serious is that ILO came out, I think we discussed this last time, right? Where they said by 2037, SNIT will not have enough money to pay to pay pension. So it means that SNIT is in more trouble than we know. And so if they are making decisions like this, it just should concern of all of us, right? And some of these hotels that they are trying to offload, they are some of the better hotels in Ghana. Labadi Beach Hotel, Elmina Beach Resort. I'm a Cape Coast. I'm from Accra, but I went to Cape Coast all my life. I know what Elmina Beach Resort is. It's one of the nicest hotels in Cape Coast. So if you are trying to tell me such a hotel making, and they said what the occupancy rate is like 90%. So you are trying to offload some of your best, hotels in your portfolio. It does not make any sense, because at the end of the day, if it's capital they want or investment they want, this is actually some of the things they should try and invest and maybe bring it up and to get more revenue in the future. Other than selling it cheap, you're selling Labadi Hotel for $600,000. Labadi Beach Hotel in Accra.
No, not $600,000.
Yeah, what was the figure?
No, it should be in the millions. I mean, 600,000, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the figure I got. If I'm wrong, then
about 8 million.
Yeah, so but my understanding is that the guy is not paying upfront for the hotel.
It's installments. Yeah.
So he's paying some amount, and then in the process of managing it, he would pay the rest in installment. That is, I mean, is it a fire sale?
I don't know what's going on, brother. I don't know. It's like it's like we do our thing. We do our thing like opposite. What is going on? And this is Snit we are talking about.
Yeah, because usually it's in a fire sale. For instance, if you are having, maybe filing for bankruptcy, or for some reason you have to offload your assets, then you can sell them under these conditions. But as you mentioned earlier on, these are the renowned hotels in Accra and Cape Coast.
Do we have the numbers? Do we have the numbers on how much they want to sell?
No, I don't have the numbers right here.
Because
yes.
what I do have for Labadi is 600,000, and I got it from Twitter. It could be, but I want to.
I in my preparation, it was 8 million, and then he paid 7.6.
$8 million.
Yes.
Yeah, for all the 6 hotels, or one hotel. Yeah, there's six hotels in the portfolio. They are selling.
Anyway, my fault. I didn't really.
I got the impression that was just
would be one.
Yeah. That's the impression I got for just the Labadi, beach hotel. That's what I got, and then he negotiated to make it about 7.6, and like we said, installments, right? You pay some, and then but there was issue of inflation. They said there was the issue of inflation, so he would have paid the difference as the dollar increased. Would have paid it, and that is when Ablakwa said this in itself is not a good situation, and it's not accurate value for. I mean, the value of the hotel is not what it's being traded for. So, I mean, as time goes on, we will clearly hear the figures. But I do agree with you. We should all be concerned.
If it's 8 million and it's for all the 6 hotels, I don't know whether that's good.
That wouldn't be good. I mean,
you're talking about. Even houses in Lagos go for $1 million, and these are hotels with beaches and stuff like that.
Beachfront hotels, beachfront alone is a lot of money.
And that's why we are saying it's looting of public assets, because like I said, they are not accounting for geography and land, because we all know that the value of a property,
the value of the land
is
itself,
not just the building and the rooms in it, but the location is important. If it has natural, things like sea or lakes around it, it puts the value higher. And so this is the whole thing. And they claim they vetted 9 and then settled for 6. We want to know which other tenders.
Yeah, but the point is, how does he get to buy all 4? Like, how does it happen that
it's 6 or 6, not 4?
It's 6, but they've taken 2 out of it.
2 of them.
So
yes, they drop the ones that are not doing well.
Okay.
And they are keeping the Labadi, the La Palm, the Elmina. Look at these hotels, Labadi and Elmina and things. I'm like, hey, Charlie, these people.
How lucky can you be to be the one that would win the bid for all these 4 hotels?
Anyway,
and that is why we want to know the other tenders, so we can nip it in the bud and say this is a clear case of using public office. And using because like Samuel Okudzeto said, he's privy to cabinet information. He's privy to insider information. How did he know that these hotels were brought up in the first place for him to put in his bid? So that is using your office for personal advantage and personal profitability.
Yeah. So on that, let me play his. He went on City TV, and no, I think it was Joy, not City. And he had asked them to call Ablakwa, and that if Ablakwa has any questions, he is going to answer them. And I had listened to that interview, and this is, just a short audio of what one of the key questions that he sought to answer. And let's listen to it, and it's kind of a segue from what the point Zita you were making. Right.
No.
From the
If you go to
corporation
Registrar
articles
General,
that I have here,
hold on.
you are the director.
If you go to, hold on, be patient, please. If you go to Registrar General, the forms ask for 2 directors. I am one director and another person. But in the functional role that I will receive emoluments or occupy an office for profit in the organization, or my activities in the organization will prevent me from doing my work in Parliament or as a minister, does not come in. So,
Okay, so this is his excuse. He says he's a director, but he's not a paid director. And so the company is different from he as a person, Brian Acheampong. So he's arguing that we should be able to separate he, the person, Brian Acheampong, Minister for Food and Agriculture, MP, from Brian Acheampong, 100% shareholder of Rock City. That's what he's asking us to do.
He's an MP, right?
Yes.
He's an MP and a minister, so I wouldn't use certain words on him.
Yes.
But that's an idiotic statement. How can you say that? Who gets the profit?
Yes.
You're not part of the day-to-day. Okay, yes, but who gets the profit? And so you listen to a minister and an MP, and he comes out and make this argument. I'm like, Charlie, it's sometimes the again, the gaslighting, right? You know what you're saying. It's really don't make any sense. But you have to say something. And because we are stupid people, hey, this guy is right. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's only a director, but he's not a part of the day-to-day operations, and so he doesn't get paid. And so if the company is engaged in any business activities, he really has no hand in it. That's the argument he's making, is that?
No, and he said, and this is what, when I was preparing, these are the key things. I own the company, but not an executive director. I am not part of the functional role of the company. Functional role and profitability are 2 different things. Yeah. You own it. You might not be part of the day-to-day operations and decision-making, but every decision
share equity with anybody. He's
exactly. So it doesn't make sense. So long as it will profit to you because you said you own it, that's it. Nobody cares about functionality here. Oh, I'm not serving on the board. I'm not dealing with the day-to-day activities. You are going to have people who will work in your best interest to make sure you get the money. And so I agree with me. This is just another, it's the lack of, these people have no shame. They look at us and they lie like, we are all dumb and we are all stupid. But I mean, who cares if you're not playing a functional role? You own it. And so as a businessman, you are focused on profitability, and that thing comes directly into your pocket. You have abused power. You have abused your position as a minister, as an MP, to be privy to cabinet information that this is what is going to happen. SSNIT is doing so bad. These are the considerations, and you've decided to lobby. That alone is a non-starter. He used his position to abuse the power that he has to position himself to lobby and get that contract to be chosen as the vendor and that's why I said we want to see the other vendors. We want to see and do a comparative analysis, and we'll realize that he might not have even been one of the strongest vendor, but because of his proximity to the incumbent government and his proximity to members of parliament, he was chosen. And again, we must talk about it again. I saw the board of directors for SSNIT. Why is everybody a presidential appointee? Why is everybody on the board of SSNIT a presidential appointee? So where is the independent? Like, this whole scheme is wreaking massive levels of corruption, and it stinks so bad because everybody on the board of SSNIT is appointed by the president and hold various positions in the current government.
They appointed the new head, the chair or something like that soon, like recently, right? Do you know the guy?
No, is that Osafo Mafo's son?
Yeah.
Hey, are we in the animals farm or what? Like, it's crazy.
Oh my God!
For anybody to think that Brian Acheampong didn't get these the opportunity to buy these, win the bids for these hotels, by virtue of being close to government, it would be essentially in a fool's paradise. I mean, how do you get, at least maybe, I think you should have been considerate enough to say that, okay, maybe I'll buy one, maybe one will go to somebody else, not to justify it in any way, but the level of confidence and how brazen they are with respect to,
And the four top ones, the four
Yeah.
top ones in the portfolio.
The level of boldness with which they approach these things is what amazes me, that you can be that bold as a minister, and then front your company to buy these hotels. And then we know very well that the director of SNID is the son of a high profile person in this government.
Oh, not just a director. Joy News was showing about 8 people or 7 people,
Yeah.
and all of them were presidential appointees, including Osafo Mafo's son. That was the reason. All of them had different positions, and I'm like, well, I mean, so when he talks about, oh, I'm not a functional executive member, what has that got to do with anything? You got it because of your proximity to the government. The people who are supposed to make a decision, they are all in the pockets of the president. So my thing is, I'm only imagining what we are going to hear post Nanado. That's just the kind of, the different things that we don't know about now is what I'm just like, what else is going to come out post December 2024? Because if this is what we are seeing and these people are just bold, they have no remorse to sit on a public platform and say that, oh, I'm just the owner, but I'm not a functional executive member, so it doesn't affect my duties. First of all, you got the insider information. If you were not close to Parliament, you wouldn't have known that this is the move the government was going to make for you to bid in the first place. And so that alone puts you there, that you have abused power. Man.
And again, look, there's something that I have observed generally in Ghana, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier on, that this country has to be properly founded. We hide behind laws, right? Democracy fundamentally is a political institution based on law. Without law, it cannot exist. But somehow, because most of these laws, we actually borrow them and we don't have any natural connection to them, what we do with the law is that we try to use them to justify our actions. To be a leader, especially under democracies, one of the values is virtue. Virtue is one of the key characteristics of a leader. And can anybody tell me that this action taken by Brian Achampong is a virtuous one? But what we do is, they would justify this by pulling up the law and says that, oh, based on law, you can have your person as a separate entity from a corporation. And so when you call him out on this type of action, he pulls up the law and says that, oh, legally, Brian Achampong, Minister for Agriculture MP, Rock City is a whole different entity of its own. I'm not part of it. Yes, we understand the legal thinking behind that. But the spirit of that distinction between these two entities wasn't for you as an MP to, circumvent it or use it as an advantage to acquire state property. That was not the intention of that law. But deep down that, in fact, what you are doing ethically is wrong. But you hide behind the law because the law provides that separation between these two entities to claim that, oh, I'm separate. Meanwhile, you know very well that if that hotel makes profits, it is coming to you only, nobody else. So you can claim to not be part of the day-to-day running of the company, but the well-being of the company is in your sole interest. There's probably nobody else who is interested in the well-being of that company than you, not even your employees. So what is this thing about you are different from the company? Who does it benefit? So, I mean, to be honest, we have to really confront the realities, especially in Ghana. Whenever people bring up law and try to use law to circumvent, what is the intention? Let's be honest, plain honest with ourselves, and say what this guy is doing, is it ethical? Even if he had no knowledge of whoever running the company deciding to buy state asset, if he got wind of it, he should have put a stop to it and said, no, the optics behind this is not proper. And that I am a government official, and having my company buy 60% shares of 4 very prominent hotels in Ghana is not going to cast us in a very good light. And so let's not do that. But no, he's coming to justify it with a flimsy excuse that he is different from his company. And it cuts across so many things in our country. Yeah, the people have used the law and said all kinds of stuff. And we talked about the Cecilia Dapa case, where we know in reality, I mean, this money couldn't have been gotten genuinely, yet the Attorney General says that, oh, there's no underlying crime, and so we cannot charge or we cannot investigate money laundering. Meanwhile, you didn't even look into it. So again, that's what I say, unless we found Ghana ourselves and decide that these are the problems within our country, and to solve these problems, this is the way we have to craft our laws. This is the way we have to operationalize these laws, because you cannot just put laws in our books without really thinking through as to how you're going to enforce those laws. So every now and then you hear people say, oh, we have the laws, but the enforcement is the problem. What do you even mean by that? If you cannot enforce a law, then what is the point? Isn't that law alien to you? If the law is original to you, it is the enforcement aspect of the law that is important to you. And so you cannot put a law in your books when you really do not know how you're going to enforce it. So again, our problem is that we adapted laws that really didn't originate from us. Some of them do not speak to our specific issues. The enforcements are not through mechanisms that would address some of the gymnastics that people tend to do when they want to circumvent these laws. So again, I mean, we expect virtuous people to go into politics, and sometimes maybe in the beginning, if we are lucky to chance on such individuals, they may end up sealing the loopholes, right, and preventing what people like Brian Acheampong were seeking to do in this particular instance. I mean, enough of my rant. I mean, you guys.
No, yeah, I mean, you are spot on, but one of the reasons Samuel Okudzeto filed with the SHRAT was because he said that Brian Acheampong breached 2 articles in the Ghanaian Constitution, which is Article 78.3 and then 98.2, which indicates that any member of parliament seeking to do business of profitability that involves state assets must first apply to the Speaker of Parliament and undergo some sort of a vetting process before they do that. So that is the grounds that Ablakwa is standing on to, get this whole issue investigated. But like you rightly said, our laws exist, but because they were inherited from a colonial legacy and does not reflect our culture and does not reflect how things should work, the laws are existing in a vacuum. Because we know that if we should go by our indigenous legal process where we had our kings, if there were issues, there were protocols on how to go to the king for the king to mediate and what was supposed to be done. But then, we inherited a system from, our colonial masters, and they, like you said, they founded a system on ideologies and things that will work for them. But those ideas are foreign to who we are, and we took it, we implemented it, and every day people are quoting laws. But when it comes to the enforcement and the application of the law, I mean, it is not there. He knows that he's supposed to apply to the Speaker of Parliament to be able to go through a process before even putting his bid in. He knows it. It's in the Constitution, but like he's conveniently saying, I am separate, I am not a functional member, and so I don't have to do that. But he knows the law indicates that if a member of Parliament is seeking to engage in business of profitability that involves state assets, he's supposed to go through processes with the Speaker of Parliament, filing an application and all that. But you see, in Ghana, I always say the law exists for the poor and the masses, but the political class is above the law in Ghana.
But Nee, before I come to you shortly, I'm going to like just follow up on something that Zita said. When he said, I think I had heard Okujato say Branda Champon needed to apply to the Speaker of Parliament for approval to engage in any, such venture. Now, his excuse was that he is a shareholder of this company, and that again, back to the idea that he is not in the day-to-day activities of the company, and then he went ahead to cite certain NDC MPs who are shareholders of other companies, and that they didn't have to apply to the speaker for authorization to engage or to become shareholders. And so he, being a sole shareholder, so he's essentially equating his role in his company as a shareholder. So again, it goes back to the gaslighting and the attempt to use the law as a shield and all that. Yes, but I mean, if you can jump in here.
No, I was going to say another idiotic thing from Snake, and I'm really angry with this because this is going to affect people's lives. If you cannot pay pensions, people will die. So this is not like one of the easy corruption things or one of the things we should joke about. You say you don't have money, you want to make better decisions, and according to what Ablakwa said, they used almost $500,000 for whatever they for the advice on the transaction. $500,000 just for advice.
You hired an advisor for what?
Yes, for the sale and everything, they paid almost $500,000, and one of the hotels cost $600,000, and you were able to pay $500,000. And like I said, 7.1 million Ghana cedis at the current exchange rate. So he took all this money just to go and get an advice to sell these hotels at this valuation. Like, what is going on? And they want, and people have told you are not running the thing well. We wouldn't have enough money to pay pensions at 2037, and you keep on making this dumb decision after the other. Where are we going? And you look at this, and is it because of the political appointments, so they don't care? I don't know what's going on, but they are actually joking with people's livelihood, and it's going to affect people. People are going to die.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. I mean, we're talking about the cost of the hotels.
Yeah, I tried to figure out, but I didn't get the cost. But that 600,000, I got it from Twitter, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's Twitter.
That is excessive. I mean, that's just insanely low, because I'm looking at a story here. I mean, my bad that we didn't really look at the amount, but there's a story here that says that Nana Komia says Branda Champo's bid is $20 million higher than that of the second bidder interested in acquiring shares in the hotels. So I don't know the total value.
20 million cedis or dollars.
$20 million. Yeah, because I mean, those are very, I mean, Labadi Beach and the Royal Labadi Beach and Labadi Royal Beach, right? These are, beachfront hotels, and the beachfront alone, it's in millions of dollars. Not to talk about the real estate itself, and the fact that they are an established business. So I mean, yes, the $600,000. I don't think you can even get a house in Transaco for that amount.
Yeah, if we get
yes, I mean, because
let me know, because
the consultant they hired. Well, how much was it? It was not close to $500,000.
Yeah, Abraka said $500,000.
Yeah. So so the hotels are in millions of dollars. But how does it happen that you get to acquire all of them? That's the question. And it's and SSNIT, as you rightly said, SSNIT takes our contributions. I mean, in fact, I think I contributed when I was a national service personnel, but yeah, I contributed. they take this contribution. The goal is for them to invest the money so that it will continue to make profits, so that the value of your contribution doesn't fall, perhaps with inflation and these exchange rate issues that we have, right? So you invest your money. I mean, that's the goal. Otherwise, you keep your own money. You take your own contribution and you keep it, or you save it for your retirement. But the intention is that when those monies are pulled together by an institution like SSNIT, SSNIT is able to put all that money into a bigger investment, and the returns of those investments would keep your money from, or your savings from, losing its value, right? Because the profits are supposed to maintain the value for you, or if in some cases even add to it. But if you are divesting your from these, all indication, everything suggests that these are profitable businesses. So I'm wondering, what exactly is SSNIT doing as a business that can the contributions can be invested in? If they are selling of these hotels, I mean, I don't know, but what other businesses or investments is SSNIT engaged in that we can really be confident that our money is put into good use, and that when the time comes for us to take our pension, we would be getting the actual value that we deserve, basically. Yeah, but that's the other question. I don't have the ability to answer that question, but yeah. Yeah, so I mean, any other issues from this? Now, I also heard that there was the catering rest house in Kumasi was sold to Brian Achampong as well. That is probably a while ago. I don't, yeah, but that's my understanding, that was also another SSNIT asset, but that was sold some time back, so it's not part of this recent issue. But yeah, he owns that property, a majority shares in that property as well. Some people were even saying that if SSNIT feels that management is their problem, and again, the failure of a hotel to make profit might be a management issue. And so others have argued that they could have actually, hired a management outfit, an external management outfit that would manage the hotel. And that way, issues related with government inefficiencies with respect to managing things doesn't arise in that case, but not a wholesale of the entire property. Because you sell it, what are you going to use the money for? What other business are you going to invest the money in that would be more profitable than the asset that you just sold? I mean, yeah, so they need to be very transparent about this. Come out and tell us that the hotels are not doing well, and so we are selling them, and then this is the intention. We want to use the money from the sale of the hotel to invest in this activity that we feel would be more profitable than the hotels that we were previously running. That they should be able to do that. And I think they owe it to the contributors to really justify the sale of these hotels.
And they can't do that because the hotels are not running at a loss. For instance, like Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa said in his submission on Joy News, I think he said last year, La Palme generated 25 million, and the previous year 8 or 10 million. So Enrage is also not doing badly in terms of turnover. So it is not about doing well. We need to understand this is just a deliberate attempt for some members of the political class to loot resources. It is not an overhaul of the output of these institutions or these hotels, and to determine in the past 10 years how have they done, have they been operating at a loss. Of course, some have not been doing well, and like you rightly said, it's an issue of management. And at this point, I want to know the other vendors that bid. so we can make a better assessment if these other vendors were better positioned to be able to manage. So we need to be looking at management and kind of rebranding of these hotels, not necessarily selling 60% of it, but like you were saying, it's a deliberate attempt to loot, and you are now saying a different facility or a different whatever in Kumasi was sold. I am just waiting post NPP to really understand the gravity of what they've done to Ghana. I don't think most of us understand the gravity. We see the corruption, we see Cecilia Dapa, we are seeing SML, we are seeing the Senate situations. It might be isolated, but I think once they leave power and the full picture comes out, I mean, it is irredeemable at this point. It's unacceptable. SNIT involves people's pension. They need to find a way to invest SNIT assets so they can have the returns they need to be paying people's pensions. But selling state property without evaluating the land and the natural resources around the property, that is unacceptable.
What they probably need to do is just renovate, update, but the locations of those properties are like prime, so it does not make any sense to sell your majority stake in that. Keep it, try to get some investment and renovate, because now they are facing competition. Of course, it's business, so that's where the point. If you cannot manage it, get a management company to come in and help you do that. But you don't sell 60% to a politician. Like, why are they doing that to the country?
Yeah. No, look, you brought up competition, right? I mean, let's talk about competition. Like, look at where Labadi Beach is located. Yep. Look at where La Palm Royal is, Elmina Beach Resort.
Yep.
Tell me, what hotel in Accra can outcompete these hotels?
Yeah.
If they are properly managed.
Yes, that's the point.
Location-wise, I mean, look at where these Labadi Beach hotels are located. Very accessible, easy to Accra, right? Downtown Accra is right there. If you don't want to go the opposite direction to Tema, it's right there. So, I mean, they are located these are beachfront hotels. So tell me, like, where in Accra can you have a better location than these hotels?
And for me, I'm saying competition because I'll not be surprised, even with the name they have, if these people do not update what's inside the hotel, like the rooms, the facility, and like the equipment. So maybe people, even the price is high, you don't get value for money. So that's what they have to look at, right? Because now you have new hotels in Accra, like I've forgotten the name, Moving Pick and all that. They'll come with better management, right? And better value for money. So maybe they are losing to the competition, but that doesn't mean that those properties don't deserve to be. It's just a way of, it's business. You've taken 1-2 hits. You have to recalibrate, come back, and you need to give your hit. But then you actually have the advantage. These hotels have the advantage of location and everything, and name, and they actually have their name brand. So to tell me you're selling these hotels because whatever, it makes no sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you touch on something important. Maintenance culture in Ghana is horrible.
Maintenance culture in
Ghana is horrible. And Kempinski is the reigning hotel that all the African Americans go to. You're on social media and they're like, yeah, I'm in Kempinski because they have the sauna, they have the gym, and then they have this like state-of-the-art sauna. I just saw a lady. She's not Ghanaian, but she went to Ghana and she was at the Kempinski and she's talking about, oh, I'm gonna have tea. They have tea time. They have all these little services that they do that resonates with the foreign crowd. And so I definitely agree with you. The maintenance culture is a problem in Ghana, and that might be the reason why some of these hotels are taking a hit. You need to update your stuff. You need to get on with the trend. You need to be having even posters for like Dirty December. Foreigners are coming to Ghana. Up your game. Have a show specifically for foreigners who are coming to Ghana. Call it the Aquaba Night. do something to up your game. So they need management change, and I agree with you. Management change, a facelift, and of course a facility update and upgrade. Maintenance culture in Ghana is just horrible, and it's all over the country, from our roads to our institutions to even everything. People don't maintain anything in Ghana. Look at the things Kwame Nkrumah did in terms of the various things he constructed. It is still the same. I was born and raised in Tema Motorway. It's just horrible. It's horrible. And every day they are fixing potholes. Every other year they'll be fixing potholes. And now they've closed the toll, and the toll gate is just there as a trap for accidents when people are driving in the night, because they've not been able to dismantle that toll gate and do something with it. It's just there in the middle of the road. It's just, maintenance culture is horrible. So I agree with you. Update your system, give it a facelift, get on with the competition, and do something to attract better crowd.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I would like to reiterate the point about virtue as the key characteristic of leaders. And so it is something that I honestly cannot tell, because I mean, this problem we can find in every aspect of the Ghanaian system. You go to our universities and everywhere else, it's a problem. I mean, just recently there was this all sex for grade scandal and all these things, and we can look. They have a common origin. So sometimes the idea that we can separate corruption in governments from corruption in other institutions, it's not the case. There's open plagiarism in our universities and all that, right? And these are the people that will end up in government. So what do you expect? So again, Ghana has to be properly founded. Again, back to what I was saying, that we need to,
Yeah, but Chama, the thing is, right? You look at every human civilization,
yes,
every country, there's corruption,
yes,
right? The only thing here is whatever is supposed to prove. Humans, that's our nature. I
agree with you. Absolutely, yes.
Yes, we just want to get one over another. We just want to do things, go through the shortcut and stuff. So what is supposed to keep us in check is the systems we keep on talking about, the systems and the law. So any government that comes in power and try and suppress those systems in their favor, they are the people we should be afraid of. You don't want the journalists to do their jobs. The systems, you put all political appointees. That's basically going through the legal means to get the system to work for you.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's the temptation for us to go into these generalities that without being specific and say, okay, maybe in terms of proportion, this government, I mean, we need to call out specific individuals or even governments that are conducting them. And we are rightfully doing so in terms of Brian Achampong and the way he's trying to circumvent, what we know should be the ethical conduct of somebody entrusted with power, trying to use law and all these rules and circumvent all that. But yes, but again, we have a difficult task calling out specifics and also addressing the generalities that exist within our system. I agree. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we've exhausted this matter. We have, given it the rightful flog, and I would say let's draw the curtains here. And I had another issue. I mean, with Bawumia, that I don't know if it's something that we need to talk about, but I've seen a video of some high school kids were actually jubilating and praising Bawumia, that 8 more years for Bawumia or whatever. And the reason behind that was that I think some of them had received an alert that their allowances had been paid, and so they were jubilating. So I don't know if it's.
Muluma, you are the director, but I am the director. I am the.
Let me try and see if I can find it, and then we'll probably just talk briefly about it. Yeah, the kids were excited. Oh, it's upside down. Yeah, so yeah, so they received alerts on their phones that their Lawa had been paid. You know, Baumia seems to be a miracle worker. Again, what do you guys say? Is that after all, occasionally it seems the driver's mate has driving privileges.
Well, I just wish they continue this trend so Baumia will get his 4 years and they'll see real Pepe.
No, and you couldn't have said it better in typical Ghana parlance. I mean, I agree with you. This is the Esau complex that I keep talking about. Short-term benefit, selling your dignity, selling your birthright. Esau sold his birthright for a lentil stew. Same thing. We don't have the ability to think and have, long-term vision. Is Ghana what we are thinking about? We don't do that. So when you, chairman, you say you have faith in the younger ones, I told you these younger ones, they are easily swayed.
No, look, me, I think this one, these ones are fake fans. I think it's fake fans. Back in the day, sometimes, you see somebody and you're giving him fans, but we call it respect. Yeah, I think,
I saw it too, and they were nurses, and they were up close, and some of them had their bank cards, and they said, yeah, 4 more, and I said,
I think they are trolling him, honestly.
I hope so. I do hope so, but even if they are trolling him, it speaks back to the concept of virtue that you're talking about. It is not just our leaders that lack virtue. Even the ordinary Ghanaian doesn't have virtue.
Yeah, but we have to teach it, especially to the younger ones. It has to be taught, because if they are looking up to the elderly ones, I mean, where are they going to cultivate that virtue from? It has to be taught. And so that's why I would normally point, and I think the buck starts with the leaders in most cases. But in this particular case, I think he's been true.
I believe that these students are not young to be taught. If we are talking about those in class 1, primary 5, then I'll say those in JSS needs to be molded. But these are grown women. They know what they are doing. They know what is wrong. But like I always say, we are a reflection of our leadership. We can keep saying, oh, that and that and that, but we are a reflection of our leadership. And so to an extent, we need to start taking accountability. These are young adults. They are not kids. Most of them are in their mid-20s or early 20s. They know what is right for wrong, but the ordinary Ghanaian does not even have the virtue, and therefore our leaders are a reflection of that lack of virtue. There is no way they should have even done this to record it. But again, anything for the click and likes, anything to have their conscience bought for a little allowance that was due them, something that they worked for. How do you celebrate for your employer?
I mean, even the value at this point, compared to how much the actual value, maybe months ago.
Yeah.
And they actually pay, they're not, it's not even all of it. They've just paid a small
number of months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sometimes
you're celebrating something that is due you. I mean, what does it do?
Poverty can make you, think it's symmetrical. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, you cannot blame them after at least they've been paid something, So, But
it's something that is due you.
But for me, I blame the grown-ups who engage in this practice.
But actually, for me, I'm actually happy for them that through this election year or through this thing, they were able to ask a question to this vice president for him to, because how much that was a bad PR for him, he decided to work on it to get them paid a little bit of money. So anyhow you look at it, they've gotten some money and I'm happy with that. But I just if this is what they think, inform more about me, then I say okay. Uh,
I mean, I strongly believe that he's been trolled in these videos. Like the chants are not sincere ones. He's been trolled. And in my opinion, the grown up is the one that who has to be blamed in this particular case. That grown up who went to brag about something that he had no idea what it was all about, right? You went there thinking that you were going to throw your predecessor under the bus by bragging about something that you completely were, you had to be embarrassed to now come back and say, "Oh, we are paying allowance."
and you know the other interesting part of all this is you are the one saying you are just a mate, but now
Oh,
it,
yes.
so it looks like somebody listened to you. So is it that you were listening and your ideas were actually that bad?
Oh, in
And
fact, you actually have control.
yeah, you have control.
But maybe he will come and tell us that just like the driver's mates, occasionally he's given the chance to drive the bus. Maybe that's what he will say.
You know, the funny thing, they tend to take the good portions. They'll take the credit for that. But when it comes to the fuel increases, the dollar increases, and all the corruption, he doesn't want anything to do with it. And you levy, Mr. Digitalization.
Yeah, they didn't want any part of that.
Such a fraud.
Somehow they would absolve him of the decision around regarding e-levy, and then when it comes to e-passport, oh, it's him.
It's me, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. As I said, maybe he's going to produce a very novel political strategy that the history of politics has never seen, but it remains to be seen how you can really.
The only way he's winning is by they messing up. They're not having a free and fair election. That's the only way.
Yeah, I believe I agree with you too. Yeah, but yeah, we cannot reward bad behavior.
No.
That's the thing. You cannot. That's how democracy has to function. Democracy functions by kicking out whoever misconducted themselves in power, and then give the other person the chance. It will just keep the system rolling. It doesn't matter what you think of the other one, but you cannot reward this bad behavior.
Yeah, Muhammad's ATS, Muhammad's and Mills ATS did better in all forms of Ghanaian life, economically, socially, every aspect of Ghanaian life. They perform better. So
yeah, and if they come into power and they do the same as these guys did, then you put them out and
we have to
and we get to a point where we are demanding better all the time. That's supposed to be the point. Yeah. Anyway, well, so once again, we usually have a lively conversation, and so we'll draw the curtains here, and then we'll meet again next week. And we thank our viewers for being with us the entire time. And again, we'll try to figure out a way to read your comments on Facebook and incorporate them into the discussion. But so yeah, I wish you guys all the best in the rest of the week. Our summer has begun, so
yeah, Monday is holiday, so
Monday is a holiday.
Try to get some grilling going on.
Yeah, I know. Well, we'll see.
Zita, you're invited.
Oh, I know. My brother told me, "What are you doing for Memorial? Is it Memorial Day?"
Yeah.
My brother said, "What are you doing for Memorial Day?" I said, "He's a veteran, so I'm like, enjoy your yeah, thank you for your service. You enjoy your day. I'm not doing anything. So enjoy. Don't eat too much. Remember, the pot belly doesn't look too good, so keep it balanced. Keep it balanced."
Well, as you said, the side chicks, they like their pot belly, so
they like that. It's a sign of money, right?
Oh God, you are mischievous. You are mischievous like Baumia.
No, that one is an insult. Baumia, I'm not at Baumia's level. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you.
All right, guys. So, bye. Yeah.
Yum,